Let's find the domain of the radical function f of x equals the square root of x plus 5. Okay, so when finding the domain of a radical function, we need to make sure that we are not finding a square root of a negative number. Okay, we want to find all the x values where we don't have a negative under the square root. Okay, that would give us an imaginary number. That's what we want to avoid. Okay, so we'll start off with our usual assumption that all numbers between negative infinity and positive infinity are fine, but then we're going to restrict the values to numbers where the interior of the radical, the interior of the square root, is greater than or equal to 0. That's a fancy way of saying it's not negative, okay? It's not negative. Okay, so then to solve that, I will subtract 5 from both sides, as I normally would, and I end up with the expression that x is greater than or equal to negative 5. So to represent this on the number line here, I'm going to put negative 5 right here. Negative 5 is somewhere in between negative infinity and positive infinity. Okay, and then so from negative 5 on up, right, everything greater than negative 5, that's going to make up my domain. Okay, so it's one segment, one piece. So I'm going to write out negative 5 to infinity. Remember, we always put a parenthesis on infinity. But since x could equal negative 5, right? It could equal negative 5. I will put a bracket. So for these types of problems, when you're dealing with a square root, it will always be a bracket on the number and then a parenthesis on the infinity. Okay, so there we go. Negative infinity, or negative 5 to infinity, including negative 5. That's the domain of our radical function.